My name is Tyler Wendling. I'm the Partner Experience Manager with RapidScale, based in Denver, Colorado, supporting the mountain region. I was asked today to present a anatomy of a deal from a healthcare solutions organization based in the Mountain West region that RapidScale was able to earn the business on. Just as a quick reminder, these webinar series are being recorded. Both the deck and the recording will be sent out to you via email within 24 hours. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, we ask you to chat them in using the Q&A panel over to Ms. Summer, and we'll answer the questions that come up at the end of the presentation if there are any. Now on to the deal. We like to give everybody an overview of who our partner is, who our customer is, and then talk about the solution. So the partner actually on this opportunity, we've gotten to know each other a lot over the past 5 months. This was our first engagement with RapidScale. This partner brought RapidScale the opportunity, has a really nice traditional base book of business, has been in the industry for years, came from one of the service providers back in the day, and he has a nice book of business. And we see him accelerating his business and exploding into new areas with things like SD-WAN, UCaaS, security, and cloud infrastructure. So he's diversifying his portfolio and truthfully selling more complex solutions that have a lot of moving parts within people's business. It's not to cut away from the traditional transactional portion of the business, but this is allowing this partner to get a little deeper. I will give kudos to the partner. He has sold a good amount of cloud. He has sold actually a lot of security. He takes a business-first approach that's outcome-driven. So we're going to talk about this deal today. I like to think this partner reverse engineers a solution based on his customers and who he's meeting with, and talks about the business outcome, and then he reverse engineers it with products and solutions to get a customer to market. So it's definitely a unique approach to doing business with someone, and it also gains a lot of trust within that business organization. I mentioned that this is our first engagement. I'd be remiss to say that there was a learning curve for both of us working together on this opportunity. From our original engagement, the partner wanted to talk about one solution set that we had, and as you'll see a little later in the webinar, we're providing a lot of different services for this client. And truthfully, we probably wouldn't have earned the business if we actually couldn't do everything that we said we would, and also expand into other arenas of the business. For me, working with this partner, I learned a ton around what the business outcome was that we were driving towards, his unique sales approach. So it was really cool to learn, plus a very unique ROI calculator that he was putting together that's proprietary for him. We have similar tools, but we're going to talk a little bit about those costing models and what we wanted to touch on when presenting to his customer. And truthfully, he was the one presenting the ROI calculations. The customer profile from our perspective, this is somebody that works in the healthcare space. So security is utmost importance to them. This customer has offices around the country, smaller offices, like a couple people here and there. Plus, they have independent contractors scattered throughout the country that actually don't report into an office. So they have a unique business model. They're working with healthcare organizations around strategies and other service offerings that are very high touch within someone's business. And they're there, similar to a RapidScale or service provider, to support their customer base. With this customer, we're dealing mainly with what I'm going to refer to as kind of the CIO. This person wore multiple hats, like a lot of our customers. This person was a one-man band that was responsible for a lot. So very, I wouldn't say unique for the size of the organization with 60 internal employees, but one person stretched pretty thin supporting the business. When it came to uncovering the opportunity, the partner had a relationship with this customer previously. So he had some rapport with this customer. And truthfully, the approach that the partner took, sitting down, wanting to understand what was driving the business and what the outcome was that they wanted, they both knew that securing endpoints were a must within healthcare. So desktop as a service was able to provide this, and they had the conversation around traditional VDI, which is a customer premise virtual desktop infrastructure, or working with a service provider that could be an extension of their team and provide this as a service. Based on the discovery and uncovering the opportunity, it was pretty quickly turned into you should work with a service provider due to the limited resources that you have. Due to the complexity around DaaS, we both, the partner, the customer, and I all agree that they are not experts in that arena, and it was something that they were looking for expertise without going out and spending money on human capital to build this thing and support it internally. It was not going to be a good investment for their business. So the other big component on uncovering the opportunity was talking about where they wanted to be going into 2020. This was a 2019 deal. Going into 2020, they wanted to be able to meet high trust. High trust is a security audit or certification that they want completed, so their clients, their end users, so they work with large regional medical centers, facilities, things along those lines. Their clients expect them to have this, and in turn, our joint customer expects us to have this as well. And we were able to build this into their roadmap. What were the business challenges that they were facing? I'm going to take a little bit of different approach than our previous webinars here, where we talked about the services and other things along those lines, and really take the partner's approach to this conversation. What was the desired outcome? What were the additional drivers that weren't included in the technology discussion? That's a really key question when working complex solutions. And truthfully, why this, why now, and then why plug in your service provider? For us, it would be why rapid scale. The desired outcome for this customer was, first and foremost, a few things around security. They want to be able to connect to their end customers and provide a compliant solution, maintain a high level of compliance, plus be able to scale. So the HIPAA regulations were a big driver for them. That has to do with the technology. That has to do with the security. What was the additional information that I was looking for, the partner was looking for, and the partner was able to find, and truthfully, probably knew very early on in the process. The partner knew the underlying technology and support and security that this customer was looking for was going to allow them to get to market more. And when I say that is, the technology leader of this business could use RapidScale's underlying technology, security story, and truthfully story around our business that supports them to take it to market and go sell more. This is a perfect marketing campaign for them when they're talking about security and how they meet HIPAA regulations and how they approach the situation. This is going to give them scale as well as give someone time back in their day to go sell. All of us on this call traditionally don't think of like a SVP of technology, a CIO. CEOs definitely are salespeople at the end of the day, but we don't think of the IT people as salespeople. This individual customer wanted to get back out and help grow the business. He's a technologist. He doesn't want to be a break fix guy. And truthfully, he wasn't brought there to be that. What he was looking to do is get back out and go meet with his peers at these hospital systems and tell them how great their organization was and how they can help support them from a secure manner and be able to scale with their business. This is kind of a different level of taking IT as a cost center and trying to equate those hours and turn it back into a profit center for this business. What is the lost revenue from not having one of your executives out in front of your clients? It's a question a lot of us don't ask, and I'm a part of that too. So what we did in discovering the business challenges was understanding where they wanted to be in the future and what this individual meant to the organization and what it was costing them, truthfully, to actually support their environment. So we uncovered the business challenges. We're dealing with an executive. We weren't talking speeds and feeds. Yes, we had to during the process, but we were talking about the future of the business, which was definitely above the line conversation. And trust me, we did have our below the line conversations where we got into the nitty gritty, the technology, the speeds, the feeds. but for the most part, it was a business decision, not driven by the underlying technology. The solutions that we sold, this deal was about 7,800 MRR, 36-month term, included a lot of services. If you saw the proposal, there was 20 plus line items that were on there. It was a pretty complex solution. There was a lot of different things that are out there. So the core foundation was desktop as a service. We were securing endpoints, allowing independent contractors to come into the business, bring their own device, and be able to securely access core applications both for this customer and, in turn, the customer's customers. We were able to provide some infrastructure as a service. We needed file repositories, people to access some certain information. Within healthcare, you have to have a backup and disaster recovery strategy. So we were able to meet their retention policies that met HIPAA guidelines and build out a solution that's going to scale with the business over the next 7 years because that is their policy. This customer was actually already on Office 365. They were signed up direct with Microsoft. And what we learned was they were paying Microsoft directly, and they were also paying a managed service provider to provide support. Most of our customers that have dealt with Microsoft have, I wouldn't say a great feeling when it comes to the support, unless they're paying a high premium for support when it comes to responsiveness. So this customer was not only spending money on Office 365, but additional capital on somebody else supporting that platform for them. So we identified this as a really good opportunity because we have such a good expertise in Office 365. We also provided remote management and monitoring. So this is something a little different than desktop as a service. We were able to go monitor certain pieces of infrastructure across their national footprint to where the internal employees we can now help him. We can be eyes on the street for them. It's not a full-blown service like desktop as a service. We're not managing the desktop, but we can alert and we can take a proactive approach to the situation, which the customer saw a ton of value in. And then lastly, definitely not least importantly, maybe most importantly, was our security as a service bucket. We went into a lot of different arenas here. This is truthfully where we probably won the deal. But when we look at the different security services that we pitched, that we offered, we had a SIM tool to help meet HIPAA compliance. We had Mimecast. We had firewalls. We had multi-factor authentication. A lot of different tools that are securing and tying all these other products together. And the customer and the partner love that. So when we talk about the business impact of what RapidScale brought for this customer, if we take a quick glance back to the previous slide, there are a lot of services the customer needed / wanted. There's some wants, but there are definitely some needs when it comes to HIPAA compliance. They wanted someone to be an extension of their team and provide a high level of security to achieve high trust. And that going forward, plus supporting all of their individual employees plus independent contractors. This was not a product or a widget or a speeds and feeds sale. We won this opportunity because the partner really helped me personally and also my organization plus a few key stakeholders at RapidScale understand the customer's business at more depth. And then we were able to put in a solution around that to help drive the customer's desired outcomes based on the solution that RapidScale was able to provide. The company wanted to grow RapidScale's cloud. Most clouds out there, we all know this, provide that flexibility for scale, both from the infrastructure standpoint, but we were able to tie in the end user support, some of the additional resources there. And truthfully, we're going to be able to streamline additional headcount, make onboarding very easy, and provide a single pane of glass, both from an infrastructure and desktop standpoint, plus a support mechanism for the business, all while maintaining kind of that high level of compliance that this customer asked for. This deal, truthfully, was a win-win for the customer at the end of the day. When you take a look at what he wanted to do, he wanted to be out selling, he wanted to be growing the business, and he wanted support. So he got both sides of the plate on what he wanted. I would be wrong not to mention that we had competition in this deal. I'm not going to mention them by name on the webinar, but truthfully, the competition we had in the deal is a very good company, very renowned in the space, And I mean, it was definitely a good fight. But what made us different in this opportunity, in this deal, was the breadth and depth of services that we brought to the table. The other provider was really good at one thing. And truthfully, the one thing I would say was even more compliance than desktop as a service. But they were not able to fill a lot of the gaps in the security portfolio. When we think about healthcare, when we think about high trust business organizations or even financial organizations, when your customers go through an audit, there are a lot of check boxes that they have to cover. And that said, RapidScale was able to provide a lot of those check boxes, plus some that the other competition couldn't do, and not have any complexity brought into the environment by having an MSP or bringing on someone else to manage a certain segment of the business. We were able to provide an end-to-end solution that will scale with the customer and provide the tools needed to go report and allow them truthfully to sell more. Which does bring me to my last point, and I mentioned it earlier, ROI calculators. This partner on this opportunity did a phenomenal job. Like, there's no questions about it. They took their role as a trusted advisor, as an extension of the business, and got into the weeds with the customer on this one. I don't believe that there's a perfect ROI calculator out there. I believe that there are things that are close, but every customer is different. Everyone has a little bit of different nuances, and this partner sat down with the customer and turned over every single rock on what IT spend looked like. What were they spending with an MSP? What were they spending both on kind of infrastructure versus like on-prem infrastructure versus infrastructure as a service? The support model for Office 365, what were they spending already on Office 365? What were they spending on different security licensing? Were there gaps where they weren't spending money where they should have been? And they took a look at this holistic solution and put together a calculator. And I mean, it was a great exercise. One of the coolest things this partner did, so when we take a look at a lot of companies and they're doing an ROI calculation from our customer standpoint, a lot of times it's infrastructure and software plus maybe some man hours, typically not, versus cloud infrastructure. And they're like, hey, a lot of times it's cheaper for me to do it. In this case, we knew that they didn't have the team to do this. It was a single person in IT, but the coolest calculation that I saw was the potential lost revenue by not having your technology leader helping your salespeople, helping you go get new logos to grow the business. And they came up with a formula on what he was spending on break fix versus what his potential could be. And that's a highly variable number out in front of clients. How many clients do you think that you could help bring on board over a 3-month span? How much time goes into that? And it was an awesome exercise. And the partner drove the majority of that side of the business. I will say, I think we had at least 2 or 3 30-minute calls where we went through and we made sure that we were checking every box from what we were proposing, if the customer had it, what their spend was, and making sure that, hey, let's get a real analysis, not only for the technology leader, but for the business stakeholders. So it was really cool to go through that process. So how could you find the next deal? I recommend to my customers, it's always listen. Always ask that next question on why. Why are they doing this? And I've been in sales for 13 years in this space. I get happy ears at time to time when someone comes to me and says, I want this, give me pricing. Always try to ask that question, next question, why. There are certain transactional business items that absolutely we can quote. We don't need to know the why. But truthfully, I think we're missing out if we don't know the why. And this deal is a perfect example of it. When we were brought in for DAS. DAS is about probably half the spend on this $8K opportunity. We were able to get in there with the partner driving the additional why questions and fill in a lot of different services and really grow the opportunity, but truthfully provide what the customer was asking for. The second thing is start with your existing base. I've been in this business long enough. The technology changes on I feel like a weekly basis, at least. Start with some of the people that trust you and what you know. We're not going to be able to learn everything in every segment. All of our partners out there can sell a lot. They have a lot of different tools. We would love to be an extension of your team. Just we understand that you're not going to be able to know everything we do in our market segment. If you start with your base, you can ask that why question on why are you doing something and what is the business outcome, to where you're going to learn the sales process. If you start that with a new prospect, they might be taken back a little bit. And truthfully, we don't always need to know the why, but it's something we want to work towards. So I think it's easier to have a conversation with an existing customer than a new prospect. And then we have the ROI calculator. So we, as Rapid Scale, within our Technology Leadership Academy, have ROI calculators available for our partners. And I highly encourage you. I have peers around the country in different markets, somewhere close by to you, that you reach out to them when you're going through this process. Talk about the customer, talk about the business outcome that they're trying to achieve, and work with our team on, hey, what are the expectations? Are we covering all of the costs? And make sure that you have the right tools in front of you as you're selling. That's what we want to do. This is a sell with model that we want to be here to support you in your business. And speaking of the Technology Leadership Academy, I would just like to remind everyone, I know it's been on a few webinars. We replaced our partner portal with the Technology Leadership Academy. It has 3 different areas you can go get certified in. So cloud, desktop, as a service, plus Office 365. This is a very nice training, and it's not 100% specific to Rapid Scale. This is going to give you history. This is going to tell you about the product sets, what the outcomes you're looking for, and really challenge you to kind of get out in front of your customers. The partner on this deal, I mentioned early on, very technical, very smart, security-centric. He went through, did some Office 365 training, and I think he watched 1 or 2 modules and was like, hey, I'm making my whole team do this. This is something that brings value for your initial conversations. We're trying to arm you here to go have those initial conversations and be really confident in those arenas. And I mentioned this did replace our partner portal. Things like the ROI calculator, sales collateral, co-branded materials, things like that are going to live within this portal that you can go have access to. So highly recommend it. You can see the link on the bottom, technologyleadership.academy, is where you can go sign up and go get certified in some different courses. So with that, I would like to open it up to questions. Summer, can you let me know if you received any questions via the chat?
Yes, we have a couple. The first one I'll just answer really fast. Are we getting a copy of this presentation? Yes, you'll get the PDF and the recording of it within the next 24 hours. So all of you who are currently on the line will get that. But for you, Tyler, first question, was the project fully funded? Were there any cost objections?
Was the project fully funded, or were there any cost objections? So truthfully, there was very minimal cost objections when it came down to it. This is not a heavily discounted solution or anything like that. They were looking at more of the outcome and what value we brought to the table. In the ROI calculations, truthfully, when we went through this process, this almost was like a break-even solution for this customer. It cost a little bit more, but they got a lot more in return for it. So there was no real cost objections. It was more of working through the security process and making sure that we were checking every box possible based on what they wanted out of the solution.
Awesome, and we have more coming in. Did SD-WAN figure into the conversation at all?
I wish. So SD-WAN is on the roadmap for this customer, and the partner is working with them on that now today, just based on the services that they bought. We did talk about SD-WAN. It was not a business driver to start for this conversation. Probably one of the big reasons around it, the virtual desktop users aren't at offices. They're at home offices, and they just need to make sure that they have the right internet speeds to be able to do their job. SD-WAN will come down the future, in the very near future for some redundancy and resiliency built out in their network, plus application optimization for things like Office 365 and a few of their software as a service tools that we don't manage for them.
Okay, and wow, we have a lot coming in. This is awesome, you guys. A bunch of people are asking about registering for the certifications. I can send out that link when I send the follow-up email to all of you, but you can just go to the link that was on the previous slide if you just want to click back maybe, Tyler. In the top right-hand corner of that website, you can self-register. So we don't need to send you it. You can do it yourself, but I will make sure to send out that link in the follow-up. What else? What else? Do you work with healthcare systems across the country? And if so, what are the top 2 technologies that you are positioning with? Are SD-WAN and data center consolidation part of your consulting services?
All right. Can you read the second part of the question?
Second part. Are SD-WAN and data center consolidation part of your consulting services?
Yes. So we do work with healthcare organizations nationwide. We mainly stay within the United States due to compliance drivers. So there are certain things that are driven by the government. So we typically stay within the walls of the United States. That said, when we take a look at our overall kind of what we're positioning with them, I take a little bit different of an approach. For healthcare systems, data center consolidation is happening, right? Certain applications are moving to software as a service. Certain things are getting smaller. You're looking at colos, things like that. I like to talk to them about their security posture and what they're doing around identity management. When I talk with partners and with clients, the biggest risk to a lot of these businesses is actually internal. And it's nothing malicious. It's uneducation, and it's people introducing new risk into the environment. It's having that conversation around how do you control this. SD-WAN, absolutely part of that conversation. You're talking about securing endpoints. I'm not selling SD-WAN to replace firewalls, but I am selling SD-WAN for application optimization. I want to talk about security, and I want to get in a little bit deep there to understand how the business protects itself from itself. And hopefully that makes sense.
Awesome. I'm just going to keep going until our time runs out because you guys have so many good questions. Someone asked, do you work with blockchain?
That is a very technical question. I'm in sales, so I'm going to pass. No. Okay. So truthfully, engage your partner experience manager. This deal did not involve blockchain. I haven't done any deals with blockchain. So my short answer would be no. Someone else can correct me down the line.
Alrighty. Can you talk about RapidScale's strategy around single sign-on as it relates to identity management?
Absolutely. These are good questions. So when it comes to single sign-on, obviously we drink our own Kool-Aid here. So we're using Microsoft SSO to access different applications, not just the Office 365 suite. We want this tied into things like our CRM, our ERP, all of the fun stuff down the line. When it comes to identity management, excuse me, what we're doing is we're positioning, we have a couple tools in the background that allow us to do this. Don't like talking about the underlying technology, but we have a few tools in the background that allows us for the SSO and the ability to tie in different applications outside of core infrastructure in Office 365. How do we bring everything into a single pane of glass for access and management and then secure that single pane, right? So we do a lot in that arena. And truthfully, I highly engage your local peer or my local peer on that, depending on where you are, and get their engineer involved because we do a lot there, and we try to avoid the conversations on what the underlying technology is.
Awesome. And there's just one quick one that I'll answer. Will you be at HIMSS 2020, which obviously relates to the healthcare discussion? RapidScale will be there. Are you going, Tyler? I can't remember who from our team is going.
I'm not. That's the same week of Channel Partners, and HIMSS is in Florida.
Okay, no worries. The rapid scale will be at HIMSS, so just answer that person. There were a couple remaining questions, but we've hit time, so I have them written down, and we can send out some of the answers in the follow-up email as well. So a lot of this information will be coming your guys' way. And that's it, Tyler. You're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Please reach out to your local partner experience managers if you have any questions or want to talk about some of your customers. Thank you all.